Thank you, Miss Neha. It's such an honor to have you here. So last time I said that was in the very same room. I had a opportunity to moderate a fireside chat with Dilip Sanghvi of Sun Pharma. So he rarely speaks at events, but he did a gracious fireside chat. So the feeling is very similar because what we do as part of our research is to try and speak about stories such as yourself and then hoping to inspire a lot more others into entrepreneurship and wealth creation. And we try to, we've always maintained integrity in our report, which means nobody can pay and get into a list. Nobody can get a paid award. It's completely a 100% merit-driven sort of organization. So it's such an honor to see someone like you who've done transparent value creation, wealth creation, and quite a role model for the entire country. So I would really like to start with how you started, right? I think your early life, your education, American dream, was it all planned, scripted, or was it a happenstance?
Well, I grew up in Pune in a middle class family
Favorite city, yeah.
where education was the highest currency. So I got a chance to see my parents work really hard to give me opportunities that they'd never had. And most importantly, they instilled in me what today we now know as a growth mindset, which is the belief that with hard work and manifestation, you can open doors. My journey to the United States was to get my master's in computer science, and that was my way of chasing bigger dreams. And I must say it wasn't easy. The first few months were really hard because I almost felt like an outsider. But then quickly I realized that outsiders have a superpower. They can see things that others simply don't. So looking back, I think my upbringing gave me resilience in India, and America gave me opportunity. And I think that resilience meeting opportunity is really the ethos of the Indian ecosystem and the American dream.
And you grew up in Pune, and I'd mentioned to you earlier that Pune is my favorite city. After Cochin, of course, I come from Kerala, but I have an inherent bias towards Pune because when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, my biggest sort of well-wishers were all from Pune, be it Ms. Anu Aga or Dr. Punawala or late Mr. Rahul Bajaj. Amazing support to that time young entrepreneur who was trying to set out to do something, and they were all. So, have they all inspired you at some point in terms of your journey? Have you looked up to them? Have you read about them? But your journey is very different to what they had. But then I'm just curious to know.
So something my parents did when I was growing up is they read me stories very intentionally of remarkable women leaders like Indira Gandhi, Kiran Bedi, Indra Nooyi. So they really came from very diverse fields. And those stories planted a seed in my mind and essentially a core belief that if they could achieve great things, then with hard work, I might as well. And those were really the early beginnings of that kind of storytelling, that kind of belief, and essentially resilience and persistence that I could do it if I put my mind to it.
And how did you get about starting Confluent? I think you were with Link at LinkedIn, and then you moved to starting Confluent, one of the most valuable businesses. Uh, uh, could you elaborate a story there?
Yeah, I was part of a team of 3 people who were tasked to solve a very simple problem for LinkedIn, which is moving data around in real time so we could power real time experiences. So today, Apache Kafka, which is the technology I helped create, it powers everything from your Netflix movie recommendations to your Uber pricing to fraud notifications. It's now used at over 90% of the Fortune 500. And so that was really my aha moment is if Fortune 500 companies are using something for free, there should be a business around it. And that was the time when I started Confluent, and then Confluent went public in 7 years.
Let me ask you. So currently the phones that we were using. So what part of that have you influenced if through Apache?
The various applications on it. You might have your bank application, and then you get a push notification that hey, you might want to see something, some kind of a fraud notification, or you might open your Netflix app and you suddenly get these relevant recommendations, or you want to Uber to this really busy place and pricing surges in real time, and that's all the the data that powers all these decisions in a few milliseconds is what Kafka does.
You know who is responsible for search pricing now? So she's right here.
Oops.
No, but it's amazing. I think technology sometimes, I myself am an investor, but some of the things that these founders do, we don't understand half of it. Sometimes it's easy to relate and understand from you in terms of what you're up to. Then you transition to Oscilar and risk intelligence. Could you brief about that? I mean, why did you move from Confluent, it's doing well, and then you co-founded Oscilar? What was the sort of thought process behind that?
So Confluent was a fantastic journey. It continues to be. But after Confluent, I wanted my journey to be about impact at a very human level. And fraud and risk, given how much time we spend on the internet, was a problem that was close to me. When young people get denied for credit unfairly, or when elderly people fall for online fraud, that damage is very personal and it's very long lasting. And the interesting thing was that struck me was the UPI rollout here, where I just noticed that instant payments were rolled out at a really fast pace at massive scale. There was seamless digital lending experiences. So financial technology took a huge leap forward, but tools to stop fraud and actually help people were stuck in the past. So that kind of gap really motivated me to start Oscilar. Ultimately, every safe transaction is one less victim of fraud, and that is our mission at Oscilar.
I have one question to ask. It's more of a generic question. So, if you look at the number of cybersecurity unicorns from India, that number is zero. The unicorns, no, with a $1 billion valuation. But the China and US, I think in the US, one of the top three unicorn contributing, the top five at least, one of them is cybersecurity. And China has also got significant cybersecurity unicorns. I always wondered, cybersecurity is a native problem, right? Every country would like to manage their own security. I just wanted to understand from you why we are lacking as a country in terms of certain sectors compared to the rest of the world, since you've seen the US and you've seen the world in general while building your businesses.
I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, India is well ahead in terms of talent density, and the problems can be solved at massive scale. When you're building for 1 billion people, those solutions are resilient at a very different level. And the UPI system, for instance, is like a shining example of something that has worked massively well, and at the same time is very prone to fraud. So I do think that if there was a company that might help solve it, competing with Oscilar, that might actually be from India.
Nice. Okay, now the question specific to your perspective on the women entrepreneurship in the country, women-led entrepreneurship in the professionals in the country, right? The way you've started when you started Confluent and when you wanted to go for your studies and so on, and you've built whatever it is right now. Do you think the opportunities in the country have grown compared to what it was for a woman when you had started now? Or is it become difficult? Or the world in itself, has it become a little bit of a difficult place to explore, opportunities like what you see in the US or wherever it is, right? What are your thoughts on that?
When I started, there were when I was pitching to venture capitalists, when I was selling software to big banks, there were probably 95% of the room was men. And today, I'm an angel investor, and more than half of my portfolio are led by women CEOs. And I've definitely seen. I mean, there are many leaders from the venture capital world here, all women, and they're doing really well, as we all know. So things have definitely changed in the last decade. But I must say that in the big Indian cities, people, and especially women, are encouraged to pursue technology, higher degrees, STEM careers, etc. So representation does not hold us back. But when I moved to the US, I actually discovered that representation does hold young girls back from pursuing STEM careers. It's actually not quote unquote cool. And so I actually think that in our bigger Indian cities, we are much ahead in terms of how modern we are and how much of a achievement velocity we have here. That's something very interesting that I noticed when I lived in both countries.
So here we have a mix of women wealth creators like Anar, who's here from first generation entrepreneur, was here. come from Gujarat, or we've got influencer-led entrepreneurs here, and we've got venture capitalists, got a bunch of mix of audiences here, right? I mean, would you invest in a women-led fund or a startup or a growing business like what Anar is possibly doing, or where would you put your bet on in the current India?
100% women and underrepresented people led, right? Like,
Okay.
and it's, even if I wear my angel investor hat or a business hat, there have been studies that have proven that the companies are driving better results with more women in leadership positions.
Totally agree, yeah.
And those studies have worked at large scale across the globe. So we are driving better results. So it makes like a very good business decision, besides it being the exactly right thing to do in the world.
No, I agree with you. No, I must confess or possibly share with you that the Hurun, 90% of the leadership, other than me, all are women. So, and it's really, thank you.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and they're doing a fantastic job. I must tell you, I think one thing that I've seen is, of course, to the data, then empathy. The whole mix is another level in terms of how they, of the entire leadership leads with stakeholders. I mean, can't deny that. And just one last question: what will be your advice for the people in the room here, entrepreneurs here, young entrepreneurs here, traditional business? What will be your general advice be?
I think, my advice to younger entrepreneurs is don't chase trends, chase problems of value. And the bigger the problem and the bigger the value, it's higher the opportunity that exists there. And the second thing, which I've learned from Confluent and Oscilar, is surround yourself with people who believe in something before the rest of the world does. Because every special company starts with a very small group of people who are crazy enough to think differently. And those are really the two things that come to mind as advice. I do have more of a request or a call to action to everyone here tonight is, no matter where you are in boardrooms or classrooms, in meetings, do everything you can to lift voices up and lift others up, because when more people can see themselves in the future, we all rise higher together.
Amazing. Can I have a big round of applause for that, please? My wife wanted to ask one last question to you. My wife is here, Tanzeem is here. She also runs the business with me. One last question. How would you want yourself to be remembered as? What legacy would you like to leave?
I think if I can leave a legacy of trust, respect, and dignity, that would be really amazing. It would have nothing to do with technology at all. But if I was able to create that impact and be a role model for younger girls who can see someone who looks like them and believe, yes, I can do that too, that would be a big achievement in and of itself.
Thank you. Can I have a big round of applause, Neha, please? Thank you very much, Neha.